Let's code along together. So the very first thing we can do is we can all of our rectangles and we bind this data. So we have this randomly generated array of data and we'll pass in our key function. And as before, we will do a join, but instead of DOM, and then we want to be able to animate them up. So let's work through the logic of this together. So if we want them to animate up from here up to here, that means first of all that we need the Y position to be the bottom of our SVG. The attributes to transition from and dot adder, and so let's start with our height being at 0 since they're all the way at the bottom, and we're going to have our Y positions be the bottom of our SVG container, so that's SVG height. And actually I think we can just say return this. We don't do anything to our update selection. And for our exit, we said that we wanted to animate our bars from wherever they are all the way down to the bottom. And actually that means what we want to do is get our exit selection. Then we're going to set the transition. So now everything after here is transition to, the attributes that we want to transition to. Bottom of our SVG container. And then we kind of skipped over kind of like that middle step of call transition. So this is our enter plus update selection. And so what we want to do is we want to, first of all, because this includes the enter selection, so attributes to transition to, and so we want it to grow to the height that is based on our data, and the Y position that is our SVG height minus our data or our height. So this little position, so SVG height minus our data. And if we do this, we should see, oh, actually, We don't want the width to be animating, so we do rectangle width. And then we also need to put in the X position. And so the X position, we want that to be updating every single time our data updates, because sometimes maybe our data shifts around in order. So we want the X position to be updating every time. And so that would be, we're just using the index to calculate index times the rectangle width. And so we are going to take a look. And that is that for the elements that are the bars that are animating in, you might notice that it's animating in from the left. And that's because we rectangle elements default X position is 0. So that's why it's the bar is animating in from the left when specify that for the X position, we're going to actually set the X position already. So we are going to have the bars created, and once it's created, we want it to already be at the X position for the bar, and then we'll have it grow. This is kind of the one place where it's an exception to the rule of thumb that I have, where the rule of thumb being for the enter selection, I only ever set the static attributes, the non-data dependent attributes. This is the only exception when I want to have attributes I want to create the DOM element. I want it to be created with the X position already attached on it. And the reason why we don't do it on the enter plus update selection, the reason why we don't do it down here is because if we did that there, then that means even on updates, then on the update selection, it will get updated to, the next, I think the next position right away. And so it won't have that animation. And so that's why we want to set the X attribute here. And then I'm going to put in some of our colors. So that was fill pink, adder stroke plum, the adder stroke width is 2. And now if we play around with this, you can see that the bars are created and they sometimes if the same data persists, you can see that they slide around and that the that Here's our transition exercise. Hopefully seeing this is quite exciting. Hopefully seeing that, it only takes a few more lines of creating the D3 transition and then calling it at some key places, namely just few lines addition, then gives us like something really powerful. And of course, this is kind of a lot of code. But the solutions to all of our examples in somewhere near our exercise. So in this case, it is hidden here under this. Here's what the end result looks like. And so you can kind of go in and take a look here.